What's poppin', y'all? Today, we're gonna be taking a look at the differences between Ghost and Tariq. If you enjoyed the video, like, sub, let me know what you can talk about next in the comment section. Also, go search Ryan's Clark Media. He's always putting out great content, and let's boogie.
Hey, it's your boy Bobby B's here. I want to talk about a subject that comes to mind, and that is the differences between Tariq and Ghost. Basically, when it comes down to it, I see what you guys are saying. We had a conversation about this where they were saying, like, technically, Ghost's story in terms of like who he was in the beginning is pretty much Tariq, right? Like with Tariq becoming who he is, because right now we know Tariq is trying to become Ghost. That's pretty much what we're seeing. Now I get what you're saying, like symbolically, in terms of, how does a person like Ghost turn into Ghost?
Yeah, because, honestly, even we know Tariq is becoming Ghost, but Tariq and Ghost have very different upcomings. Tariq grew up in a penthouse and, the top of fucking Manhattan and all that shit. Ghost grew up in like the slums of Southside Jamaica, Queens. So, there's definitely a little bit of a difference between them as far as their origin story goes. But y'all let me know in the comment section, because I mean, Tariq definitely has Ghost-like tendencies, but we know he learned those from Ghost. I like to see where Ghost picked everything up, how Kanan and Breeze taught him the game, all those things. The things that Tariq wasn't necessarily going to go through, because he kind of had a introduction to the game with Tommy, Ghost, Tasha. He grew up around a bunch of liars and thieves, is basically what I'm saying. Criminals.
I get that symbolically, but there are differences between Tariq and Ghost. See, the difference between Tariq and Ghost is that Tariq is privileged. He came up privileged because his father pretty much making life the way it is. Ghost was a kid from the hood who grew up and then eventually he became what he became in terms of being a big time drug kingpin and running pretty much New York, being the king of New York. So that's what Ghost was. He's a kid who came from the hood and did that. And a lot of people will want to see how that story played out. Like, how did he go from being the kid from the hood that became the drug kingpin? When it comes down to it, when people talk about Ghost and wanting to know how Ghost became who he is, remember this about Ghost. Ghost was raised by his father. He doesn't really say much about his mother. All right.
I wonder if Raising Kanan, if we'll find out what happened to Ghost's mother at all, because we never really do hear about his mom at all. And also, now that I'm also really thinking about it, because Tariq he was never grateful, and I think that just comes from like the struggle in earning what you actually have. But because Ghost, I feel like the reason he was always a step ahead, it was because he had to be. He didn't probably have the most stable home environment. I mean, I'm just speculating here, but he probably like was forced into a situation opposed to Tariq, who chose this life. But again, y'all let me know in the comment section what you think, because I'm hoping in Raising Kanan we definitely find out the origin of Ghost.
His father owned a nightclub, which was the reason why he wanted a nightclub too. So Ghost was raised around a clubbish atmosphere. His uncle was the only other person that we know of. That was really the only other family member that we know that Ghost had met with. So that's the bit of Ghost's background, right?
And it's hot as
so
fuck.
Then, basically, what else did he do? He eventually ended up, because his father died, he ended up living with Tommy's mom. So he ended up living with Tommy, and Tommy became like his brother. So him and Tommy was best friends since they were kids. And then they eventually met Kanan. So basically what you're seeing in terms of like Raising Kanan, that whole atmosphere, that whole hood thing right there, that's pretty much Ghost's surroundings as a kid. That is what
I swear, when Ghost popped back up in Raising Kanan, like, I'm gonna just start barking at the screen. I'm gonna just, and then and then when I actually see that nigga Ghost, I'm like,
he's grown up in, because he's from Queens, New York as well. Basically, the story of Raising Kanan, for those who didn't know, this is Queens, New York, right? So basically, when it comes down to it, it is, Ghost comes up there. So people want to know, how does Ghost go from Queens, New York, in the hood over there with Rock and all them at, to becoming the king of New York? The thing is that with Raquel right now, Raquel has a lot of power, right? Raquel runs things, but we don't know, what Ghost saw when he was little. Obviously, an encounter between him and Raquel has to happen, I want to say, but
I mean, that's not necessarily true, because say hypothetically, like, say Rock goes out in season 3, and then they introduce Ghost and Tommy in season 4. Like, I mean, so but that's something else. I'm gonna do a video on that next, because I'm curious to that now. Like, will Ghost and Rock have some kind of encounter? Will Ghost be introduced to him? Like, I mean, how does Ghost even meet Kanan? But we'll find out about all that.
At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, Ghost came there. He was around Kanan. Kanan was his older brother, right? And Breeze also was an older brother to him. Eventually, it came to where Ghost had to take out Breeze for some reason, and then they rose up. Kanan was the leader, but then Kanan got in the way, and instead of taking Kanan out, he had Kanan go to prison. So then, after Kanan was out of the way, he rose up even higher and became the king of New York. And that's where, you know, the person he is, that he became who he is. So that's the reason why a lot of people want to see the story about Ghost's come up, because there's differences between these two. Because basically, when it comes down to it, Tariq came up privileged. Basically, Tariq was around the best schools, lived in the best house in Manhattan. I mean, he was around everything. His father puts him in a position of power. So if anything, Tariq is a sequel, and Tariq's story is different and unique. And even though he may be the same person like his father, we all still want to see his father come up in terms of that story of how did he become that kid from the hood atmosphere that is in raising Kanan to becoming who he was by the time we got the power. Everybody still wants to see that. So that's not to say, okay, no, they're not the same, because some people think that, you know, seeing Tariq's story is like seeing a prequel of Ghost and him becoming.
I mean, I get what he's saying. Like, they're definitely not exactly the same. Like, as far as like they have the same mentality. Like, they're both steps ahead. Normally, Ghosts are definitely more prepped than Tariq, but they are both still steps ahead. They both still have like that really ambitious drive to where when they focus on something, they will not stop. Nothing, as Ghost said, no one can stop me. They normally achieve what they set out to do. And then also on top of that, they're both really good at speaking publicly as well as manipulating people into getting them to do what they want done. And I feel like, you know, that's something else that we see a lot in Rock. And I think Tariq picked that up from Ghost and Kanan. But y'all gotta let me know in the comment section. Are they more similar or more different? Because I do think Tariq is progressively becoming Ghost.
Coming Ghost eventually. Whereas I'm like, nah, they totally different. Even though they're like the same person, and even though they're symbolized, you know, there's a symbol. They're entirely different people. Ghost's background comes from the hood. Tariq's background comes from privilege. So that's pretty much, you know, what I'm saying in regards of the differences between these two. But that is pretty much all I got to say in regards to that. I just want to say that it's your boy Bobby B's here. I just want to say much love, much respect. Hold it down. And one.
We control our thoughts.
Hey, how are you doing?
My nigga Ryan's Craig, I almost said Ryan's Craig Media. Ryan's Creek Media. Go sub to him. Arf, 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 arf. Now, before that nigga be putting out some gangsta ass content. If you enjoyed the video, like, sub, got a lot more shit coming. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.